It can happen this fast. In fact, most industrial fires start from a careless act. In the situation you just witnessed, sparks from a welding procedure landed on some flammable material that should have been removed from the area. In fact, you could say that neglect and carelessness created this fire. Sometimes the potential for fire is hard to spot. We know, however, that failing to keep electrical equipment in good working order or poor housekeeping often end the same way. When you combine these situations with cluttered or locked fire exits, or workers who don't know how to use fire extinguishers, you've really added fuel to the fire. It doesn't take long for an industrial fire to cost millions of dollars in damages, or perhaps the tragic loss of lives. Fortunately, a well-thought-out fire safety plan can greatly reduce the incidence of industrial fires. Proper training can help workers safely exit a building or effectively fight a fire if the need arises. But fire safety also demands that everyone in the workplace accept responsibility for their own acts. This video and accompanying materials are your guide to fire prevention and safety. We'll take a look at how fires start and discuss some things you and your company can do to prevent them. Then we'll review some fire safety tips, including how to use a portable fire extinguisher. Fire prevention and safety is based on a clear understanding of how materials ignite. Any fire requires three elements. These elements, oxygen, heat, and fuel, are often shown as a triangle. And just like a triangle, all sides must come together before a fire can occur. It makes sense then that the goal of any fire safety program is to keep these elements apart. Oxygen is present in virtually all industrial work settings, so to reduce the chances of fire, we must separate or control the heat and fuel sources. Your company's safety staff or the local fire department can help identify conditions in the workplace where combustion could occur. The work situation, however, changes constantly, so fire inspections must be an ongoing event. Most companies undergo a formal fire department inspection on an annual basis, but in an effort to make the workplace as safe as possible, many companies are doing their own monthly inspections of all processing areas and storage facilities. Since these inspections can point out problem areas that could result in a costly fire, they are a small price to pay for increased safety. All fires are classified as either type A, B, or C. Here's a quick review. Fires that result from the ignition of ordinary combustible materials, wood, cloth, paper, and many plastics, are type A fires. Type B fires include flammable liquids. This class includes gas, oil, grease, oil-based paint, and lacquer. Fires involving energized electrical equipment, wiring, fuse boxes, and circuit breakers are classified as Class C fires. Regardless of the type of fire, the goal of all fire prevention efforts is to separate or control heat and fuel sources. Here are some things to be aware of in the workplace. To begin with, it is vitally important that the work site heating system be kept clean and in good working order. This includes all pipes, switches, filters, wiring, and boiler controls. Since overheating of electrical equipment is also a major problem area, the use of automatic circuit breakers and overcurrent relays may be used. As an added safety factor, all facilities should use proper lockout-tagout procedures when testing circuits. Remember, only qualified personnel should troubleshoot or repair electrical circuits. Static electricity is also a fire hazard. This should be controlled by bonding and grounding equipment. Some companies have installed special flooring designed to eliminate static electricity. Extension cords present a safety issue as well as a fire hazard, and they should not be used unless absolutely necessary. If extension cords must be used, they should be properly rated for the intended purpose. Routinely check all cords for frayed insulation and damaged plugs. Also, a cord that is warm to the touch may indicate an electrical overload. All forklifts and other devices used in material handling should be refueled and serviced outside or in an area away from manufacturing or storage facilities. If welding procedures are performed in the work environment, an in-house permit system should be in place. An important part of this permit system is to make sure a fire extinguisher is available during the welding process and for at least 30 minutes after the job is completed. In addition, gas cylinders used for welding procedures should be securely held in place, and extra cylinders should be kept in a separate area away from the welding site. Another major area of concern in fire safety is the use of flammable liquids. Everyone who works with flammable liquids must be constantly aware of the dangers involved and take every step to prevent possible combustion. This includes the use of safety cans with tight-fitting caps or covers for dispensing liquids. In fact, the National Fire Protection Association recommends that only 1 day's supply of flammable liquids be allowed outside of their special storage area. To further reduce the hazard, flammable liquids should be stored in trash-free areas that are not used for other storage purposes. Of course, all areas where flammable liquids are used must have adequate ventilation. Good housekeeping also plays a significant role in fire safety and spontaneous combustion. All trash, including packing materials, should be removed frequently and stored in metal containers with tight-fitting lids. It's also very dangerous to allow extra materials to be stored in aisles or near fire exits. Stacking wooden pallets so high that they may interfere with an automatic sprinkler system must also be avoided. And workplace no smoking policies must be strictly enforced to reduce the potential of industrial fires. The National Fire Protection Association offers fire safety guidelines for industry. You should also be familiar with the OSHA standards for safety. However, it is every worker's responsibility to be on the lookout for potential fire hazards. Next to removing or controlling fire hazards, it is vitally important that employees know what to do in case a fire actually occurs. First and foremost, all employees must know the location of the fire exits nearest their workstation. Fire exits vary from a simple fire door on a ground floor to a window with a chain ladder on upper floors. In any situation, OSHA requires that each workplace building have at least 2 means of escape and that the fire doors cannot be blocked or locked. Workers should also know the location of the nearest fire alarm and how to use it. In order for a fire alarm to be truly effective, all workers must also know what the alarm sounds like. Every workplace is different and should have its own specific escape plan and procedures for what to do in case of a fire. All of these activities should be practiced during routinely scheduled fire drills. In fact, OSHA requires that employers train their employees in emergency plans, evacuation procedures, and how to use a portable fire extinguisher if it is anticipated that workers may need to use one. In addition, workers with disabilities should be teamed with an able-bodied co-worker for practice sessions and in case a building must be evacuated. If a building must be evacuated, workers should be instructed to cautiously touch closed exit doors with the back of their hand to test for heat. A hot door means fire is behind the door, and the worker should find another exit. To avoid smoke inhalation, workers should stay low to the floor, covering their noses and mouths if possible. And all doors should also be closed to prevent smoke from spreading. Because a fire can interrupt electrical service, elevators should never be used during a fire. Even if it appears elevators are working, the power can go out at any time, trapping workers inside with no means of escape. In certain situations, the use of portable fire extinguishers can be very helpful. Before you need to use an extinguisher, however, check your company policy regarding the use of portable fire extinguishers in your facility. Most importantly, a fire extinguisher should only be used by a worker who's been trained in fire extinguisher use. And secondly, the fire should be small and contained. It is also recommended that you make sure the fire alarm has been sounded, the building is being evacuated, and the fire department has been called. This, of course, depends upon the size of the fire and your company policies. Before you decide to use a fire extinguisher, take a few seconds to make sure you can get out of the area if you need to. Locate the nearest exit and fight the fire with your back to that exit. Of course, you must make sure that the proper extinguisher is available. OSHA fire safety regulations require that all the work areas are equipped with the proper extinguishers. In many industrial situations, extinguishers rated for use on A, B, or C type fires are available. A word of caution here. Never use water or an extinguisher marked Class A fires only on a grease or electrical fire. Water causes a grease fire to flare up, and if used on an electrical fire, can cause serious electrical shock to the user. Regardless of the type of extinguisher, there are certain general features that make them similar. All industrial fire extinguishers should have a carrying handle or operating lever, a locking pin, a pressure gauge, a discharge nozzle or horn, and a label that includes extinguisher type and operating instructions. Because of these features, most extinguishers work in the same manner. This operating technique is frequently referred to as PASS. P for pull the pin, A for aim low, S for squeeze the lever, and S for sweep from side to side. Here's how. To use any portable fire extinguisher, stand at least 6 to 8 feet from the fire, then pull the pin. This will unlock the operating lever so that you can discharge the extinguisher. Now, aim low, pointing the extinguisher nozzle or hose at the base of the fire, where the fire is most intense. Next, squeeze the lever below the handle. Squeezing the lever discharges the contents of the extinguisher. When you let up on the lever, the discharge will stop. Some extinguisher models have a button to press rather than a lever. Now, moving carefully toward the fire, keep the extinguisher aimed at the base of the fire and sweep from side to side until the flames appear to be out. Continue to watch the area. If the fire starts again, repeat the pass process. It is essential that you follow this technique because portable extinguishers operate for a brief period of time. In most cases, this varies from as little as 8 seconds up to 1/2 minute of operation. Every second truly counts. It may seem as if the possibility of dealing with a fire in your workplace is extremely remote, but a fire can happen anywhere. If you find yourself in a fire situation where you have to think and act fast, using the guidelines presented in this video can go a long way toward controlling the fire and maybe saving a life. Make sure you're up to date on your company's fire policies and that you know the location of all the fire exits and extinguishers in your work area. Fire safety and prevention is an important part of everyone's job. Your life and the lives of those around you may depend on you acting responsibly.